The night sky above the Pacific Ocean was calm and peaceful. Stars shone brightly in the darkness, and the sea below was quiet. No one on Earth knew that something strange was about to happen, something that would change the world forever. Far above Earth, in the empty space beyond the moon, a massive fleet of damaged ships was moving slowly through the darkness. These ships belonged to the Velkari, a peaceful alien species that had run away from their dying world. They had run away from something terrible, something that had destroyed their homes and killed their families. On the largest ship called the Sanctuary, a tall alien named Tarun stood in the control room. Tarun had blue skin that shimmered like water under the light. His eyes were large and kind, but now they showed fear and worry. Around him, other Velkari worked at different machines, trying to keep their ship moving. They looked tired. They looked scared. Tarun looked at the screens in front of him. Red lights blinked everywhere. The ship was breaking. The engines were dying. Hundreds of thousands of Velkari refugees were sleeping in rooms below, packed together so tightly that they could barely move. Old people, young people, and children. All of them had lost everything. All of them had nowhere to go. "Status report," Tarun said quietly. His voice was soft, but it carried authority and sadness. A younger Velkari named Elara stepped forward. She was the ship's medical officer, and her skin had a purple tint to it. She held a small device in her hand that showed numbers and signals. "The main power system will fail in 6 hours, Tarun. Maybe less. The cooling systems for the engines are broken. We are running out of time." Tarun closed his eyes. He remembered his home. He remembered the green forests and the tall towers where his people had lived for thousands of years. He remembered the day the Korvax Dominion had arrived. He remembered the fire and the screams. The Korvax were not like the Velkari. They were warriors. They were soldiers. They believed that the galaxy belonged to them, and anyone who disagreed would be destroyed. For months, they had attacked the Velkari homeworld. The Velkari did not know how to fight. They were healers and artists and teachers. They did not have weapons. They did not have soldiers. In the end, there was nothing left to do but run. Tarun and the other leaders had gathered as many people as they could. They had filled every ship. They had jumped through an experimental gate in space that was supposed to take them to a safe world, a world far from the Korvax. But something had gone wrong with the gate. The machines had broken. The ships had been thrown into space in the wrong direction. Now they were lost. Now they were dying. "We have to try the fold gate again," said one of the other Velkari workers. His name was Kess. "Maybe this time it will work. Maybe this time we will reach the sanctuary world." Tarun shook his head slowly. "The fold gate is destroyed, Kess. You know this. We checked the system 3 times. There is no power left. No way to open it again." Elara moved closer to Tarun. She spoke softly so only he could hear. "The sensors are showing a star system ahead. There is a planet. It is blue and green. Tarun, there are signs of life. There are signs of civilization." Tarun looked at the screen. There it was, a planet that looked like his home, blue oceans, green continents, clouds, life. "Where is this world?" he asked. "Unknown," Elara said. "Not on any star map we have, not from any world we know, but it is there. It is real. We could land there. We could ask for help." The other Velkari workers looked at each other. They did not know what to do. Landing on an unknown world was dangerous. The beings who lived there might not be friendly. They might attack. They might destroy the ships. But staying in space meant death. The ships would break apart. Everyone on board would die. Tarun made his decision. "Set course for the planet," he said. "Send messages in all directions. Tell any ship that can hear us to follow. We are going down. We are going to find help." On the other side of the galaxy, in a small city called Seoul, a man named Dae-jun was working in an observatory. The observatory was on the top of a tall building. From there, he could see the whole city below, with its bright lights and busy streets. Inside the building, machines and computers covered all the walls. Dae-jun was a scientist who studied the stars and the space beyond Earth. He had spent his whole life looking at the sky. He knew the stars better than most people knew their own homes. That night, Dae-jun was looking at the screens in front of him. His friend Hai-wan sat beside him. She was also a scientist. They were having a quiet night, just checking the normal information that came from the space around Earth. Then something strange happened. A signal appeared on the screen, then another. Then 10 more, 20 more, 50 more. "What is that?" asked Hai-wan. She leaned forward and stared at the screen. Dae-jun's face turned white. His hands started to shake. "I do not know. I have never seen anything like this before." The signals were huge. They were coming from space. They were coming from somewhere outside Earth's moon, and there were hundreds of them. "Are they satellites?" asked Hai-wan. "No," said Dae-jun. "No, satellites do not move like this. Satellites do not send signals like this. Hai-wan, I think. I think these are ships. These are big ships, and they are coming here. They are coming to Earth." Hai-wan stood up. She walked to another computer and started typing fast. Numbers and pictures appeared on her screen. "The energy signatures are enormous, Dae-jun. Whoever is flying these ships, their technology is much more advanced than ours. Much, much more advanced." Dae-jun picked up his phone with shaking hands. He knew what he had to do. He had to tell someone important. He had to tell the government. He had to tell them now. The world was about to change. As he dialed the number, he looked out the window at the beautiful night sky. The stars were still shining. The city was still peaceful. But somewhere above, hundreds of ships were falling toward Earth. Hundreds of ships carrying millions of refugees who were running from death. The phone rang 3 times before someone picked up. "This is Dae-jun Kim from the Seoul Observatory," he said quickly. "I need to speak to someone in the government right now. We have a situation. It is serious. Very serious. We have detected a large number of spacecraft approaching Earth. I repeat, we have detected a large number of spacecraft approaching Earth. They will arrive in less than 20 hours. There was a long silence on the phone. Then a voice spoke, a voice filled with shock and fear. "Did you say spacecraft? Multiple spacecraft?" "Yes," said Dae-jun. "And I think they need help. I think they are in trouble." Dae-jun did not know that the words he was speaking would start a chain of events that would change everything. He did not know that in the next few days, the world would face a choice that would define humanity's future. All he knew was that something was coming. Something huge. Something that would test whether human beings were truly kind, or whether fear would win. The sun was rising over the Pacific Ocean when the first ship broke through Earth's atmosphere. It was a massive vessel, shaped like a long needle, with lights flickering all over its surface. The ship was shaking violently. Black smoke was pouring out of its engines. Everyone inside knew they were going to crash. The pilots, or what was left of them, tried to control the ship. They pushed buttons and moved controls, but nothing worked anymore. The ship was too damaged. The heat from the sky was too strong. Thousands of Valkyrie passengers were screaming below in the cargo holds, not from pain, but from fear. They could feel it. They could feel the crash coming. The ship fell faster and faster. It became a bright ball of fire in the sky. People on the beaches of the Philippines saw it. People on boats in the ocean saw it. And then it hit the water. The impact created a wave of water that rose higher than any building ever made. The wave was as tall as a mountain. It moved across the ocean like a wall of destruction. When it hit the coast, it destroyed everything. Buildings fell apart. Cars flew through the air. Water flooded into cities. Emergency alarms started ringing everywhere. People ran for their lives. But help was also coming. Rescue workers jumped into boats and helicopters. Everyone wanted to help. No one knew what they were running toward, but they knew someone needed them. In Korea, a young woman named Ji Woo was working at a marine rescue station. She was a biologist who studied the ocean and ocean animals. She was also trained as a rescue diver. When the alarm came about the crashed ship, she did not hesitate. She grabbed her equipment and ran toward the water. The ship was sinking deeper and deeper into the ocean. But it was not sinking fast. Its metal was strong. Its shape was strange. This was clearly not a human ship. Ji-woo put on special breathing equipment and went into the water. As she got deeper, she could see the ship more clearly. Lights inside were still on, even though the ship was broken. She could see windows. Through the windows, she could see movement. She swam toward the biggest window she could find. Inside, she saw something that made her heart stop. There were beings in there. Strange beings, blue skin, large eyes, webbed hands, and they were drowning. Ji-woo did not think. She did not get scared. She just acted. She used her tools to break the window. Water rushed inside the ship, but she also created a way in. She grabbed the nearest alien and pushed it upward toward the surface. One by one, Ji-woo and the other rescue workers pulled the Valkyrie out of the water. They pulled them into boats. They gave them oxygen. They tried to understand what they were doing, but there was no time for questions. There was only time for saving lives. Back in the government buildings of Seoul, the whole situation was chaos. Minister Park Ro-sung sat in a large meeting room with other important leaders. They were watching videos of the crash. They were listening to reports. They were trying to understand what was happening. "We have confirmed it," said one official. "The ship is not from Earth. The beings inside are not human. We are dealing with an alien spacecraft." The room went silent. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was scared. "What do we do?" asked Minister Park. His face was very serious. He knew that whatever he decided in the next few minutes could change the world. "We should destroy it," said a military general. His name was Han Tae-oh. "We should destroy the entire ship and all the aliens inside. They could be dangerous. They could be an invasion force." "No," said a soft voice from the back of the room. It was Dr. Kyo Min-ah, a scientist who studied animals and biology. "We should wait. We should learn more. The ship is broken. If these beings wanted to attack us, they would not be drowning in the ocean." In the observatory in Seoul, Dae-jun was working with the government to analyze the alien signals. He was a scientist, and scientists used facts and evidence. The facts he was seeing did not show an invasion. They showed something else. They showed a fleet that was falling apart. They showed ships with broken engines. They showed the signals of people asking for help. "These are distress signals," Dae-jun told the government leaders over a video call. "These beings are not attacking. They are running from something. They are refugees." "Refugees?" asked Minister Park. He had heard about refugees. His grandmother had been a refugee many years ago, when war had come to Korea. She had told him stories about running for her life. "Yes, Minister," said Dae-jun. "Their ships are damaged. Their power is failing. Millions of them are aboard those ships, and if we do nothing, they will all die." Out on the ocean, more ships were arriving. They were also crashing. They were also breaking apart in the water. The ocean was becoming a graveyard of broken metal and failing lights. Ji-woo was still in the water, still pulling Valkyrie out of the ships. She was getting tired. Her body was cold, but she would not stop. Not while there were still people to save. Not while there were still voices calling out in fear below the surface. One Valkyrie she pulled up was different from the others. His skin was brighter blue. His eyes were sharper and clearer. When she helped him up to the boat, he looked directly at her. And then something strange happened. Jiwoo suddenly felt something in her mind. An image. A feeling. It was not her thought, but it was very clear. She was seeing a burning world. She was seeing a massive army of beings attacking a city. She was seeing families being torn apart. She gasped and pulled back, but the Velkari held her hand gently. He was Tarun. He was trying to show her why his people had run. He was trying to make her understand. "Thank you," Tarun said in a strange accent. His voice was beautiful but sad. "Thank you for saving my people." Jiwoo stared at him. Who are you? Why did you come here?" "We had nowhere else to go," said Tarun simply. "We had nothing left. Your world was the only thing we could reach before our ships died." By the time the sun was setting, over 5,000 Velkari had been pulled from the ocean. They were wet and scared and cold, but they were alive. They were safe. The news spread across the world. On the news channels, people saw videos of humans and aliens working together to save lives. They saw Jiwoo helping creatures from another world. They saw rescue workers treating injured aliens with care and kindness, and something changed in people's hearts. Fear was still there, but something else was growing stronger. Something called hope. In the meeting room, Minister Park made a decision. "We will help them," he said. "We will provide shelter. We will provide food and water and medical care. These people are refugees. They are like us, and we will treat them like we would want to be treated if we were in their situation." Some of the military leaders were not happy. Some of the other government leaders were not sure. But Minister Park was strong in his decision. Outside, the night was falling on Earth. And for the first time, humans and aliens were standing together, not as enemies, but as people helping people. The first meeting between two worlds had not happened through weapons or diplomacy or science. It had happened through the simple act of one being saving another being's life. And that, perhaps, was the most important kind of first contact of all. A week had passed since the first ships crashed into the Pacific Ocean. The world had changed. News about the Velkari was now on every channel in every country. People everywhere were talking about the aliens living on their planet. The temporary camps had grown very large. In South Korea, huge areas had been set up to house the refugees. There were hundreds of tents and temporary buildings. There was food from all over the world. There were doctors and nurses working constantly. There were volunteers who wanted to help. Dr. Kyo Min-ah was running one of the largest medical camps. She had thousands of workers under her command. Humans and Velkari were working side by side. They were learning to understand each other. They were learning to work together. One afternoon, Dr. Kyo Min-ah was in a hospital tent examining a young Velkari child. The child was sick, but not very sick. The child just needed rest and some medicine. "This is interesting," said Dr. Kyo Min-ah to Alara, the Velkari medical officer who was working beside her. "Your biology is different from ours, but not too different. I think we can help your people with our medicines. I think our medicines will work for you." Alara was happy to hear this. "On our world, we had very different biology from all the other species we knew. Your medicines being able to help us. This is lucky. This is a miracle, I think." But not everyone on Earth was happy about the refugees being here. In other countries, there was anger. There were people who said the Velkari should not be allowed to stay. There were people who said they might be dangerous. There were people who wanted to send them away or to hurt them. The government of China released a statement saying that the aliens should not be allowed to stay on Earth. The government of the United States was divided. Some wanted to help. Some wanted to send the refugees back into space or destroy them. In the United Nations, a big meeting was happening. Representatives from every country in the world were there. They were arguing about what to do with the Velkari. Minister Park Ro-sung stood up to speak. "My country will not turn away these people," he said firmly. 50 years ago, my grandmother was a refugee. She had nothing. She was running from war. Other people helped her. They gave her shelter and food and hope. Now, we have the chance to do the same for the Velkhari. We should do this. It is the right thing to do. A young woman named Nari was watching this meeting on a television in the refugee camp. She was a university student. She was angry. She was angry at the countries that wanted to turn the Velkhari away. She wanted to do something about it. Nari went to the camp leaders and asked if she could speak to the refugees. They said yes. So Nari stood up on a platform, and all the Velkhari gathered around to listen. "My family was refugees," Nari said in a loud, clear voice. "My grandfather was a refugee. He was running from danger. He had nothing. But people helped him. People gave him a chance. And now he is free. He is safe. He has a family. Now, some people in the world want to hurt you. They want to send you away. They want to close their doors. But we will not let them. We will help you. We will give you a chance. Because that is what human beings do. We help each other. We protect each other." The Velkhari made a sound that was like applause. They were grateful. They were hopeful. But then that night, something happened that changed everything. Daejun was at the observatory, still analyzing the signals from space. He received a new message. It was coming from the Korvax Dominion. The message was clear and direct and terrifying. "This is a warning to the planet called Earth," the message said. "You are harboring refugees who belong to us. They are fugitives who have stolen from our empire. You have one day to return them to our custody or face destruction. If you do not obey, we will send a military force that will destroy your world completely. You have 24 hours. Do not test us." Daejun's hands were shaking as he sent this information to the government. The message was very clear. Earth had a choice to make. In the meeting room, Minister Park sat very quietly. General Han Teo was arguing that they should give the Velkhari back to the Korvax. "We cannot protect them," General Han said. "We are not strong enough. We should give them back and protect our own people." But Minister Park was thinking about something else. He was thinking about his grandmother. He was thinking about what it meant to protect people. He was thinking about what it meant to stand up for what was right, even when it was dangerous. "No," Minister Park said finally. "We will not give them back. We will protect them. We will defend them. This is what it means to be human." The room was silent. Everyone was shocked. But Minister Park continued. "I am calling an emergency session of the United Nations," he said. "I am calling all nations to join together. The Velkhari are under our protection now. If the Korvax want them, they will have to go through us first." News of this decision spread across the world. Some countries agreed. Some countries were angry. But Minister Park's words had power. His words reminded people of why they valued freedom. His words reminded people that sometimes you have to stand up for what is right, even when it is scary. That night, Tarun and Ilara stood outside the refugee camp, looking up at the stars. They knew that their enemy was coming. They knew that war might come to Earth. But they were not alone anymore. Humans were going to fight beside them. "These people are brave," Ilara said to Tarun. "They barely know us, but they are willing to risk everything for us." Tarun looked at her, and for the first time in weeks, he smiled. "Maybe," he said, "maybe this is what real civilization looks like. Not hiding away, not running, but standing together, standing strong." Jiwoo walked past them and waved. She was no longer just a rescue worker. She had become something more. She had become a friend to the Velkhari. She had become a symbol of human kindness. In the camps, humans and Velkhari were preparing. They were learning about each other's technology. They were sharing knowledge. They were beginning to plan how to defend Earth together. It was a strange time. It was a scary time. But it was also a time of hope. It was a time when two different species realized that they could be stronger together than they could ever be apart. The Korvax did not know that they were about to face something they had never faced before. They did not know that humans could be incredibly brave. They did not know that Earth's people were willing to sacrifice everything for what they believed in. And that, the Korvax would soon learn, was a very dangerous thing to underestimate. 3 days had passed since the Korvax sent their warning. 3 days of preparing, 3 days of fear and hope mixing together in a strange way that nobody on Earth had ever felt before. General Han Tai-O was working with military leaders from every country in the world. They were making a plan. They were preparing for a fight that would be different from any fight humanity had ever known. "The Velkari have technology that is far advanced," General Han said to the gathered military leaders. "But they are not trained for combat. They are not soldiers. This is where we come in. We have soldiers. We have people trained to fight. We have people trained to adapt to new situations." Tarun stood beside General Han. He was learning about human military strategy. He was impressed by how quickly humans could organize and plan. "The Korvax fight in one way," Tarun said. "They attack with force. They attack with weapons. They attack until their enemy breaks. But humans fight differently. I have been reading your history. Humans fight with creativity. Humans fight with strategy that changes. This is something the Korvax do not expect. Factories all over the world were changing their purpose. Factories that made cars were now making weapons. Factories that made clothes were making materials for defense systems. Factories that made food were making supplies for soldiers. People everywhere were volunteering to help. Some were joining the military. Some were working in factories. Some were training to help with repairs and medical care. Everyone felt like they were part of something important. In Seoul, Daijun was in a special command center that had been built underground. This was where the humans and Velkari would work together during the battle. The center had computers from Earth and technology from the Velkari ships combined together. It looked like something from the future. Daijun was teaching Velkari scientists about human computer systems. At the same time, Velkari were teaching Daijun about their advanced technology. Together, they were creating something new, something that neither species could have created alone. "Your technology is very logical," Daijun said to a Velkari engineer named Kes, "but it does not have room for changes. It does not have room for unexpected problems." "Yes," said Kes. "We were very careful people. We made things to be perfect, but perfection is not always possible." "Exactly," said Daejun. "We humans make things that are not perfect, but they can break, and we can fix them quickly. We can adapt. Let me show you something." Daejun showed Kes how humans could take a broken system and change it into something that worked in a different way. The Velkari engineer was amazed. "This is very creative," Kes said. "We never thought of this." Jiwoo was training with the military now. She had asked to join the defense force. She said that she wanted to help protect the people she had saved. She was learning to operate new weapons. She was learning to work with Velkari soldiers who would fight beside her. The Velkari did not have guns like humans did, but they had energy weapons that could hurt from very far away. They had shields that could protect areas. They had ships that could fly and fight in space. Together with human soldiers, they were becoming a real fighting force. But it was not just the military that was preparing. Every person on Earth was preparing in their own way. In the refugee camps, Elara and Dr. Kyo Min Ah were preparing medical supplies. They were training humans on how to treat Velkari injuries. They were training Velkari on how to treat human injuries. If there was going to be a battle, there would be people hurt, there would be people dying. They needed to be ready. Nari was organizing supply lines. She was making sure that food and water and other things that people needed were being delivered to soldiers and to the camps. She was also giving speeches about why this was important. She was talking to people about what it meant to stand together. "We are not just defending ourselves," Nari said in one of her speeches. "We are defending a principle. We are defending the idea that we should help people who are in danger. We are defending the idea that all beings deserve freedom and hope. Minister Park was doing something very important. He was talking to the United Nations. He was trying to convince every country in the world to stand together with Earth. He was saying that this was not just Korea's problem or Asia's problem. This was Earth's problem. This was humanity's problem. If we do not stand together now, Minister Park said, we will fall apart forever. The Korvax will destroy us one by one. But if we stand together, if we show them that Earth is united, that humans care about other beings, then we can survive, then we can win. Not every country agreed with him. Some countries said they would not send soldiers. Some countries said they would not help. But most countries understood. Most countries sent soldiers and supplies and support. 1 week before the Korvax army was expected to arrive, something happened that made everyone feel more hopeful. A Velkari ship that had been hiding in the atmosphere came down. Inside this ship was a secret weapon. The Velkari had been working on this technology for a long time. Tarun brought the information to General Han and Daijun. This is a device that can disrupt the Korvax communication systems, Tarun explained. If we can use this at the right moment, the Korvax army will not be able to talk to each other. They will not be able to work together. They will be confused. That is brilliant, said Daejun. If we combine this with human strategies, we might be able to surprise them. We might be able to make them make mistakes. The final preparation was something very different. It was not about weapons or strategy. It was about something more basic. It was about every human and every Velkari understanding that they were in this together. Minister Park organized a ceremony. It was a ceremony where humans and Velkari stood together, where they made promises to protect each other, where they showed the world that they were one people now. Jiwoo stood beside Tarun. General Han stood beside Alara. Daejun stood beside Kes. They were not just soldiers or scientists anymore. They were friends. They were family. That night, as Earth's people looked up at the stars, they felt something they had never felt before. They felt like they were part of something bigger than themselves. They felt like they were part of Earth. They felt like they belonged to something that was worth fighting for. The Korvax were coming. In just a few days, the sky would fill with enemy ships. There would be danger and fear. But now, Earth was ready. Now, humans and Velkari were ready to face it together. It was a strange kind of hope. It was a hope that came from knowing you were not alone. It was a hope that came from standing beside people, or beings, who believed in the same things you believed in. And that kind of hope was stronger than any weapon. That kind of hope was something the Korvax had never experienced before. And it was about to be their biggest surprise. The sky turned red. Then it turned orange. Then it filled with fire. The Korvax fleet had arrived. Hundreds of massive ships moved through Earth's atmosphere like a dark cloud. Their engines made the sound of thunder. Their weapons pointed downward at the planet below. They expected to find a weak planet with no defenses. They expected to find humans who did not know how to fight. They expected easy victory. What they found was different. General Han was in the underground command center with Daejun, Tarun, and leaders from every nation on Earth. Around them, screens showed everything happening above. Human pilots were in planes. Human soldiers were in positions across the planet. Velkari ships were launching into space. Human and Velkari worked together to defend their home. "Fire the first line of defense," ordered General Han. Immediately, missiles launched from Earth. They went up and up into the sky. The Korvax weapons fired down. Explosions happened all over the place. The sky was filled with fire and light. But something was wrong for the Korvax. Their ships were not communicating properly. Tarun's device had disrupted their communication systems. The Korvax ships could not talk to each other. They could not work as one army. Instead, they started fighting in different directions. They started attacking each other by accident. Jiwoo was in a fighter plane now, flying beside Velkari pilots. She was not a military pilot, but she was brave and she was fast. She could think quickly. When a Korvax fighter came toward her, she did not try to follow the standard battle plan. Instead, she flew at it straight on, then moved down at the last second. The Korvax pilot was expecting her to move up. The Korvax ship crashed into empty sky. "I got one!" Ji-Woo yelled into her radio. Across the planet, the battle was happening in different places. In Europe, human soldiers and Velkari warriors were fighting Korvax troops that had landed. The Korvax were strong and their weapons were powerful, but humans were fast and smart. Humans learned quickly. When one strategy did not work, humans tried a different strategy. Dae-jun was coordinating all of these fights from the command center. He was getting information from all over Earth and all over space. He was talking to pilots and soldiers and Velkari leaders. He was like a spider at the center of a huge web, making sure everything worked together. "Move the Pacific defense north," Dae-jun ordered. "The Korvax are trying to attack the Asian coastline. They want to invade from the ocean." "Yes," replied a Velkari commander. "We are moving our ships there now." The battle was not going the way the Korvax had planned. Instead of a quick invasion, they were facing a real war. They were facing an enemy that would not give up, an enemy that would not break. Tarun was on one of the Velkari ships, fighting in space. Beside him, human pilots were flying their fastest jets, fighting enemy ships that should have been too big and too strong. But humans and Velkari were not fighting as separate armies. They were fighting as one. When a human pilot was in trouble, a Velkari ship would come to help. When a Velkari ship was damaged, human pilots would provide cover. They had learned to trust each other. They had learned to work together. But the Korvax were still very strong. Their weapons destroyed many ships. Many pilots died. Many soldiers fell. The cost of defending Earth was very high. Very high indeed. In the medical camps, Ilara was treating wounds that she had never seen before. Human bullets mixed with Velkari energy weapons created injuries that were difficult to treat. Dr. Kyo Min-ah was working beside her, trying to save people's lives. Some of them were humans. Some of them were Velkari. They did not care about the difference anymore. They just tried to save every life they could. Nari was organizing the supply lines even faster now. Wounded people needed food and water and medicine. The soldiers fighting in the sky needed fuel and ammunition. It was constant, demanding work. But Nari did not stop. She did not sleep. She kept working because she knew that every supply she sent out might save lives. 2 days into the battle, something important happened. General Han and Tarun planned a dangerous attack. They were going to attack the Korvax command ship directly. If they could destroy it, the Korvax army would lose its leadership. The Korvax would have no one telling them what to do. The mission was very dangerous. Many soldiers might die, many might not come back. But General Han asked for volunteers anyway, and thousands of humans and Velkari stepped forward. They were willing to die for this. They were willing to sacrifice themselves. Ji-Woo was one of the volunteers. She flew her fighter jet toward the massive Korvax ship. Around her, human and Velkari fighters were protecting her. They were fighting off the Korvax defense fighters that tried to stop them. "We are going in," Ji-Woo said into her radio. She flew her jet directly into the Korvax ship. The impact was massive. Her jet was destroyed, but she had destroyed one of the Korvax ship's main weapons. She ejected her seat before the crash and was picked up by a rescue helicopter. That act was the beginning of the end. Other human and Velkari pilots flew their ships directly into the massive command vessel. Explosions rocked the entire area. The Korvax ship started to break apart. In the underground command center, Dae-jun saw what was happening. "The command ship is failing," he said quietly. "The Korvax are losing organization. Their army is falling apart." And it was true. Without their leadership, the Korvax army started to break down. Their ships began to retreat. Their ground forces started to leave. They were not used to fighting an enemy that would not give up. They were not used to fighting an enemy that was united. After 3 days of intense fighting, the Korvax fleet left Earth's orbit. They turned around and fled back toward their home territory. They did not want to face any more of this strange new enemy. The sky cleared. The fire stopped. The battle was over, but the cost was high. Thousands of humans had died. Hundreds of Velkari had died. Many cities were damaged. Many homes were destroyed. But Earth had survived. Humanity had survived. The Velkari had survived. In the aftermath, Jiwoo stood looking up at the sky. She was dirty and tired, but she was smiling. Tarun walked up beside her. Together they watched the last Korvax ship disappear into the darkness of space. "We did it," Jiwoo said. "No," said Tarun, and he was smiling too. "We did it together. That is the difference between us and them. We stood together." Around the world, humans and Velkari were celebrating, but it was not a happy celebration. It was a celebration mixed with grief. People had lost friends, people had lost families, but they had also gained something. They had gained the knowledge that they could face the impossible. They had gained the knowledge that when they stood together, nothing could stop them. Minister Park made a speech to the world. "Today," he said, "Earth is no longer alone in the galaxy. Today, Earth is no longer just a human world. Today, we are a world of many kinds of beings, living together, protecting each other, standing as one. This is our victory. This is our future." And in the refugee camps, the Velkari were no longer refugees. They were part of Earth now. They were home.